Hello everybody, it is Adam, and we are back after a very, very long hiatus. I took a little bit off because I've been super busy, but I am back, and today we are going to be reading a Johnny Test fanfiction in honor of my return. It will be in two parts because this one is very long, but I want to give some backstory before I really begin. I'm going to do this in one take, and it's not... I mean, I guess you could say it's scripted, but it's not really. So, one day, close to the beginning of the year, maybe early January, I was sitting in class, and I was trying to figure out some information about Johnny Test for some reason. I remembered the meme where Johnny turned into a girl, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but I came across this fanfiction, and it's called Best Birthday ... ever, in all caps, with an exclamation. So, I'm going to begin reading now. Alright, here we go. Asleep in his bed, the now 12 years old Johnny Test was tossing and turning. For the past few weeks, his dreams have been making him sweat and feel funny in his most private spot. Yes, puberty was starting early for the preteen boy, and it was starting to show. His body was starting to ache from the changes, becoming more muscular from all the sport he played, and the only thing stopping him from getting a full face of zits was his genius sister's zit-zapping cream. But most of all, like said earlier, his dreams had become more X-rated. A few times Hugh, Johnny's father, would come downstairs to find him sleeping on the couch, with his bedding in the washer. Dookie, Johnny's faithful talking dog and best friend, has been tried to help him cover the reason behind this, to spare Johnny from the birds and the bees talk by Hugh by taking the blame for it. And it wasn't like Johnny didn't know what sex was. He might not be the smartest of the Test children, but even he knows how to delete the history off the computer after looking up porn, thus adding to his dreams, and tonight would add to his problems as Johnny awoke in a wet spot. "Ew, not again," he said as he woke up Dookie, who was in his dog bed. Looking at the clock, it was only 4:12 a.m. "Really, you gotta owe me big for this one. Your dad said he would chain me outside if he thinks it's me again." "Don't worry, I'll just hide them and sleep on the floor tonight." With that said, he's collected the bedding and started his way downstairs. Heading out the back door, he started to shove the bedding under the bushes before heading back inside to take a shower. After dressing in clean PJs, he started to make a bed on the floor next to Doopy and fell asleep. Following day. "Good morning," Hugh trailed off as he looked over the side of the bed to find Johnny curled up on the floor next to Dookie. Looking at the bed, it was perfectly made with fresh bedding on. "Son, is something wrong?" Waking, Johnny looked up at his father, who had a worried look, then to his bed, which he noticed was made. "No, I'm fine. It was just too hot last night, so I slept here." "Oh, well that makes sense, I guess. Come downstairs, we have a surprise for you." As his father left the room, Johnny turned to Dookie. Thanks, Dookie." I don't even remember Dookie's voice, Jesus. "Don't thank me." No, that's not right. "Don't thank me, I didn't change the bed." "Say what?" "I was sleepy last night. I didn't have anything to do with it, boo-boo." Huh? Confused, Johnny got out of his makeshift bed and dresses in his famous usual clothing before doing as his father asked him, went downstairs to find a cake with a candle shaped as the number 12. Light on top behind him, his family yelled out, "Happy birth!" With a light smile, he sat down at the table as they sang the birthday song. He completely forgot about his own birthday. During the weeks of trying to hide his puberty from everyone, he just plain forgot. After the song was over, he blew out the candle and made a wish, as his mother and father went into the other room to talk about a few things. Johnny's twin sisters Susan and Mary came up to him. "You can thank us now," Mary said. "For what?" "We covered up the fact that you had a wet dream again last night," Susan answered. Shocked, Johnny fell out of the chair. "What? How did... Give us a break," stated Mary. "You've been sneaking into the lab and used the zit-zap cream, and you started doing your own laundry, which is usually only your bedding." And your voice has been cracky lately, finished Susan. No, slapping his hand over his mouth, he found they were right. Wait, who said this? It was nice to Doogie to take the blame for you, but after hearing you taking that shower last night, we thought we'd share you from having Doogie put outside every night, and having to hear Dad's birds and the bees talk on your birthday, Susan said after a short laugh at Johnny. So consider this your birthday present from us, Mary quickly finished as both parents came back in the room. So where are we going for my birthday? Johnny asked. The beach? The jungle? Maybe the... Well, son, we were thinking about this and... His father started.
We didn't find out till yesterday that your sisters have a science fair they entered, and we have to take them,
finished his mother. But what about my birthday? Cried Johnny as he looked over to his sisters who were looking down at the ground. Well, that's the thing. Our birthday present to you is a test to see if we can trust you to be home alone, said his father. So I have to spend the day alone with Dookie, Johnny asked as he sat back down at the table. And may I just remark that this sentence did not end in a question mark, and I am very appalled at this poor writing. I digress. That's another thing. Dookie has to go to the vet tomorrow, and because we're not going to be there, we're taking him tonight, said his father. Who says this?
Also, we're not just going to be gone for the day. We're going to be gone till sometime tomorrow night,
his mother said, putting her hand on his shoulder.
We're leaving in an hour, so we left some money for food and some rules we want you to follow when we're gone. When we're gone. We're gone. Not we're.
And your sister's locked up the lab tight, so no trying to sneak in there. We don't want what happened last time, his father said with a small cringe, as he thought back to a giant Johnny, with laser shooting eyes bursting out of the house. At first, Johnny just sat in silence, not silence, silent with an S at the end, before he got up and run up the stairs to his room, locking the door behind him. Laying down on his bed, he heard his father knocking. Johnny, don't you want some of your cake? This is the first time I let him have sweets for breakfast. He didn't answer. The only thing he heard after that was his father telling him that he was leaving in the kitchen, and that they were leaving soon. Half an hour later, he heard the car pull out of the driveway. Some birthday, he said to himself, seeing as Dookie was already downstairs. I get to spend it all alone. Before he could let himself fall asleep, he heard a few tapping sounds on his window, followed by someone calling up to him.
Hey, Test!
He knew the voice. It was Sissy Bladely. To everyone that knew the two would say they were rivals, who hated each other. But if you could read Johnny's mind, you know he was in love with her. Also, if you could do so through the past weeks, you'd know Johnny thought of her in a most intimate of ways. Haunting his dreams, she was the star of his preteen sex fantasies. It wasn't helping that she seemed to want to hang out with him more than before, as she made him play video games in his room with her, watch TV together, and play sports. And I'm just gonna add this, I bet they were playing fucking wiffle ball, those fucking bitches. As he made his way to the window, he remembered once when they played a game of one-on-one football. He was able to grab her from around the waist as in trash, and pull her down, landing on top of her. At first, it seemed like she was ready to curse him out, but instead they were quiet. The feeling of her stomach slowly rising and falling under him, the sweet smell of her perfume, but the one thing that struck him that day were her eyes. The signs of submission, longing, and want were there, the two's faces being so close they could feel the heat of each other's breath. He remembered how their lips started to come closer to each other. He was so close he could almost taste her. That was before Bumper came by and started mocking the two. Opening the window, a small rock hit his forehead, followed by a chuckle from the girl, as she held up a game cartridge. Not cartridge.
I just saw 2 Sword Masters 3.
No, that's not what she said at all.
I just got Sword Masters 3, and I bet you don't stand a chance, Agents Me,
she said, putting her hand to her hips. Johnny smirked as he called back, You're on! He made his way downstairs and to the front door where Sissy was waiting for him with a strange smile on her face. As she pushed past him, looking around, she called out,
Mr. Test? Mrs. Test? I have a note for you.
They're gone till tomorrow.
What? But I'm supposed to stay. But what am I supposed to do now?
What do you mean? Wait. Hold on a minute. Oh, okay, I see. What do you mean? Sissy handed Johnny the letter that was addressed to his parents. Opening the letter, it read, Dear Howard and Lila. I thought it was Hugh. What the fuck? Dear Howard and Lila, I'm sorry for the short notice, but I have to leave for the day on a family matter and I can't bring Sissy with me. Please allow her to stay with you until I return tomorrow. Signed, the name was blotched out. Oh, said Johnny as he let the letter drop to the floor.
I can't stay home alone.
Her voice is just getting stupider as I go.
Why not? Why not? Besides, you have Missy. Missy the pet groomers, and I...
What, you're not afraid of being alone, are you? This remark earned Johnny an angry glare from Sissy.
No, I'm not afraid of something so stupid. I'm going home.
Sissy pushed past Johnny again. Wait. What the fuck? Sissy pushed past Johnny again, was just about to leave her, when she felt him grab her arm. Hold on, you still haven't proven you're better than me at Swordmasters. Isn't that why you came over? Both youths, I can't say youths. Both youths looked at each other. Both could feel each other had a second objective in mind. To Johnny, he knew he was setting himself up for an awkward night. But this was the only chance he'd get in a long while to have Sissy to himself like this. After a few moments of silence, not even silence again, just silent with an S at the end, Johnny let go of Sissy's arm, who in turn made her way upstairs. Following her, Johnny started to feel a strange tangle in his crotch. His mind started to go into all the dreams he had of her. Images of him undressing her, kissing her in places that sent shivers down her spine, the feel of her skin as they fucked. He started to feel a cold sweat as they closed the door and sat in front of the TV set. A few hours went by and the two seemed to tie and score. Johnny seemed to calm his lust for the time being, and Sissy seemed to be having fun. I'm getting hungry. You want anything to eat? That's not at all the voice that I was supposed to use.
I'm getting hungry. You got anything to eat?
We got cake. Sounds good, Sissy exclaimed, getting up and going to the kitchen as Johnny followed her. Sissy was about to cut the cake when she read the lettering.
When was your birthday? When was your birthday? Huh?
Today, actually.
Oh, hey, Johnny, could you wait in the living room for a second?
Sissy asked with a heavy blush on her face.
Huh?
Huh? Sure, I guess. With that, Johnny went back out and sat on the couch as he turned on the TV. After half an hour, he started to wonder if she left out the back door. Hey, Sissy, you okay in there? After a moment of silence with an S at the end, he started to head into the kitchen where he was met by a half-naked Sissy. His jaw dropped as his eyes looked. I can't even fucking read. His jaw dropped as his eyes took her in. Her lightning bolt hair was let down and hanging over her shoulders. She was stripped down to her pink panties, and her black t-shirt was tied in front to expose more skin. Her eyes were fixed on his. She was shaking, nervous, holding her hands behind her back. Sissy, what are you doing? Johnny finally managed to get out.
I'm giving you your birthday present.
She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him slowly moving herself closer, her mostly bare body pressing up against his, starting to come out of his shock as he slowly put his hands on her hips, pulling her closer, returning the kiss as he felt her tongue enter his mouth. He welcomed it with his own as the kiss deepened. Johnny moved his hands to the small of her back, lightly brushing the skin, causing her to let out a small gasp as she bit his bottom lip in return. Suddenly, Johnny broke off the kiss. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The bullshit's really getting to me here. Wait, what's gotten into you? He said, panting. Sissy flicked her hair out of her eye.
Don't you get it, Johnny? All this time I've been trying to get close to you, asking to be with me. I've been trying to get to you, feel the same way I do.
Tears started to fall from her eyes as she stepped closer to him, her eyes fixed on the floor. I love you, Sissy Bladley. I got really contrary there for a moment. I love you, Sissy Bladley. Sissy gasped as she looked back into Johnny's eyes, who wiped away a tear from her eye. I loved you since the day we met. There was no quotation mark there. I loved you since the day we met. Sissy started to cry again as she fell into his arms. Her tears felt hot as they soaked into his shirt. Johnny just held her as she continued. Seconds later, she stopped crying and whispered into his ear.
Well, are you going to finish opening your present? Well, aren't you going to finish opening your present?
Johnny chuckled as he picked her up and carried her bridal style up the stairs and into his room. Setting her down on his bed, Sissy moved herself in the center. She watched as Johnny took off his 2 shirts and cargo pants. She blushed as he started to climb up to her now naked. Her now naked what? Her now naked and was hovering over her. Not sure what to really do, Johnny started to copy a sex scene from one of his dad's private movies as he started to kiss her between her breasts, making her giggle in delight. Taking off her shirt, he again started from her neck and worked his way back down to her breast, then lower to her stomach, and finally down to her panties. With one last kiss on the top of her panty line, he bit the strap and started to pull them down. I'm sorry, this is really... Oh, I feel like I'm going to pass out. Arching herself so it would be easier for him to do so, she looked back down to see Johnny holding her panties in his mouth. Again, this made her giggle. The grammar in this is so terrible that it's hard to read. Like, I actually cannot read this. Where'd you learn to do that? Where do you learn to do that? She asked with closed eyes. After Johnny threw the panties down to the floor, they found themselves again unsure of what to do. Setting up on her knees, Sissy took hold of his erection, making him jump. Both started shaking nervously as she started to jack him off slowly. As Johnny started to play with her hair, she got lowered so he could begin to lick the tip of his dick, making him let out a low growl. Why is he growling? She started to let herself take him in more and more and more as she slowly motioned her tongue to do circles around the tip. Johnny started to lean back as his hand rested on the back of Sissy's head. She then picked up speed, now letting her tongue cup around his dick with a hand around the bottom, jerking him in a circular motion. Faster and faster she went till Johnny let out a deep moan as she took her head forced her to take his whole cock in a deep throat. Getting back up, she wiped her mouth before Johnny pushed her down and took her legs on his shoulders. He began by kissing her pussy. Her pussy! Next, he ran his tongue as hard and deep as he could, as he cold through it. This sent shivers through Sissy as she bit down on her index finger. Setting her legs back down, she rubbed his hand along her slit before pushing his index and middle finger into her. I lost my place. Gripping the sheets, she tried to stop herself from wanting to pull away from the sudden pleasure as Johnny's hand started to go deeper into her pussy, his thumb rubbing the outside, causing it to turn a light shade of red. Noticing this, he removed his fingers and began to lick the clitoris. The clitoris, guys. Making her back arch as she let out a cry, pulling at the sheet as she used her other hand to take hold of his hair. Johnny was going by memory of what he'd seen from the internet. Every lick and suck was targeting a certain spot. After a few more licks, he felt a tug on his hair. As he looked up, Sissy was motioning him to climb on top. She purred! As he slowly did so, his breath hot on her skin. We're getting close to the end here, and I decided not to do it in 2 parts, as you might be able to tell. I'm getting lightheaded here. Not only did I not get a glass of water, but the bullshit is making me nauseous. This is actually child pornography, and I'm not sure if I'm super comfortable with it, but we will continue. As Johnny was laying on top of her, he could feel her skin shaking a little. Lightly kissing her, he started to rub his dick on her pussy. She started to return the motion by lifting herself to match his thrust. She pulled him close so she could whisper in his ear,
"Make me yours."
With one last stroke, he put the tip of his dick to her pussy, slowly pushing himself in. Sissy let out a gasp as he hit her hymen. She heard it, what hurt her first time. She heard all about it from the birds and the bees talk from her mother. But she was giving herself to the one she loved, and all the pain was worth it. Wrapping her arms around his neck, she tried to open her legs more for him to enter her better. Johnny started to push himself into her again. Again, her breath was taken away. Slowly but steady, he was making his way deeper into her. The pain was sudden, but quickly subsided with pleasure, as she dug her nails into his back, scratching him, the pain seeming to make him push harder. When he was sure she was now comfortable, he started to speed up, pumping faster as Sissy's nails were now dug deep into his flesh. He could have swore he felt himself bleeding from it. Sissy couldn't get a single yelp out. She was surprised by Johnny's sudden burst of speed. She started to feel a pleasure in her stomach like she was going to explode. Explode! Johnny, I'm going to... Or no. Johnny, I'm going to... I think I'm going to, too. To. Grabbing her wrist, Johnny gave one last thrust, as did Sissy did, so he could be as deep as possible. The two kissed one last time before Johnny rolled off of her. Sissy curled up next to her lover as she rested her head on his chest.
Did you make a wish blowing out the candles?
Sissy asked.
Yeah. What did you wish for?
Trust me when I say it came true. Giving Johnny a seductive look, Sissy got up and started walking to the door. Where are you going? You're still naked.
I was going to take a shower,
Sissy said as she stepped out of the room. Johnny was about to just fall asleep when he heard Sissy call out,
You coming?
Jumping out of his bed, he sprinted for the door. This is the best birthday ever, he said to himself. Well, that is the end of this god-awful story. I'm sorry I put you through this. 22 minutes, by my count, of absolute bullshit. There was a disclaimer at the beginning that I forgot to mention. Disclaimer, I do not own anything from Johnny Test. Cookie Jar does. No money was made from this story. God, I hope no money was made from this story. Also, there was a note from the author at the beginning. I'm doing this fic for a contest, so check out my rivals Megadeth 425 fic and vote. Also note this is my first time at making a lemon fic, so yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Enjoy. I don't have any idea what a lemon fic is, first of all. Also, I think I'm gonna pass out. It's almost 2:30 in the morning, and I'm reading a goddamn Johnny Test fanfiction, which is essentially child pornography in its own way, but we're just gonna say that it never happened that way. It's not monetized, and I just hope I don't get my account suspended for it. Either way, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this god-awful video, and I hope you guys are kind of excited for my return, because I want to upload semi-frequently from now on. Maybe once a month if I'm feeling up to it. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. But if you did enjoy, go ahead and click that like button for me. And if you want to see more from me in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because it is always appreciated. And go ahead and follow me on Twitter, because, I mean, why not? I'm over there all the time, and I kind of hope to hit 300 subscribers 300 followers by the end of the year, even though that probably will not happen, as I have plateaued at about 205, 210, give or take a few. I will put the link to my Discord down below. It's not really very, very used at the moment, because it's not an active channel. I do not run an active channel. My channel is dead. But I hope to fix that. So, I will talk to you guys later.